Hey, what's up guys, Totallydubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the Creative Sound BlasterX Siege M04. Now that's quite a mouthful, but this mouse is RGB amazing. Let's put it that way. Now this mouse is £65 on Amazon.co.uk, and on Amazon USA can be found for $60. Links will be down in the description below, including the full specs on Creative's website. Now you might be wondering, why have Creative entered the game? Well, it's quite simple. If you look at the mouse, you'll see that it looks rather unique and looks quite elegant. Now for £65 you'd expect it to look quite good, but you'll be surprised at mice that you'd find for around the same amount which actually look and perform pretty poorly. Now first of all, inside the box you pretty much get just the mouse. And it's no sort of complaints, but you've got a non-removable cable which is braided, which is terminated by a USB. The mouse itself has one button on the left hand side, two buttons at the top left hand side, so it's a right handed mouse. You've got one button over here, you've got the button for the scroll wheel, the two left and right buttons over here, and nothing on the right hand side, which means that it's a right handed mouse, so if you're a left hander then you might want to look away. Now in terms of the mouse itself, all the buttons can be reprogrammed via the software, and that's the Sound Blaster Connect app, which also works with other Sound Blaster products. Now you can see over here the X logo is lit up, and you've got the RGB colors over here. Now they can be again fully customized through the software, and the amount of customization is absolutely insane. It's actually one of the best mice or even just sort of peripheral products I've come across that gives you that much customization. In terms of customization, you can choose the different sort of pulsating colors that are coming up, the solid or RGB colors. You can choose the BPM, which is practically the speed, which goes to an insane level. You can change the direction of the colors, and on top of that, in terms of the actual using of the mouse via the software, you can actually customize a sniper button. Now the sniper button is actually really useful. It means that if you've got three separate DPI levels, so this has got 3 DPI settings that you can go through, and again they can be all customized through the software. So let's say you are running at 800, 1600 and 3200 DPI under 3 separate DPI settings, but then you want to, when you're sniping, have a little bit of extra accuracy. You can set a sniper button, which is this button by default, to 200 DPI. So therefore you have your 3 main DPI settings for the mouse sensor itself, and then when you click this button and hold it down, essentially it actively switches the DPI down to whatever DPI you want. So for example 200 DPI. This is a really cool feature to me, and it's something that I think a lot of gamers will appreciate, especially if you're playing certain more, so we'll say more casual games, or even some games like Counter-Strike. That extra DPI switch on the fly via a button can really aid. So I really love this. Now this goes into what you get in the software, but also in terms of the actual buttons themselves and how they can be programmed. Now if you don't want that, of course you can disable it and you can customize it to whatever you want. You can have a custom set macro, you can have them keyboard map to whatever keys you want, like 1 and 3 for example in Counter-Strike. That's the buttons I use, and you can also customize the top of the button to be DPI cycle, or again whatever button you want, like R to reload your guns. So through the software and through the buttons you can really customize whatever you'd like on the mouse itself. Now in terms of the mouse, in terms of its build quality, it's fantastic. It's a very sturdy mouse, it feels really good in hand, and underneath it as well it will glide through any sort of surfaces and whatnot. So in terms of the looks, the design, I think they've done a fantastic job. In terms of ergonomics, now it uses as a palm, if not a fingertip grip sort of mouse. It's definitely not a claw grip mouse, and the reason why is because of its size. Now from the top of my hand to the bottom, it's around 17.5, 18 centimeters, which is around your normal man-sized hands, and it fits fantastically, almost not like a glove, not as good as like a Death Adder in hand, but it does feel comfortable and I have no sort of problems using it. One thing I should mention, however, it's got no customizable weight, which means that 110 grams without the cable in terms of its weight, it does feel like a quite heavy mouse. In comparison to my Logitech 403, this mouse is a lot lighter and a lot easier for me to use in FPS games. This is a lot heavier. Now of course that's all to do with preference rather than what is right or what is wrong, but it's just something I should mention in case you're wondering in terms of how heavy is it and how easy would it be to do like random sniper flicks, for example. So That's just something to bear in mind. Now let's talk about its performance. Now inside, Creative have not skimped out. They've got the PixArt PMW3360 sensor. Now that goes up to 12,000 dpi and is regarded one of the best sensors on the market, alongside the 3366 sensor, which is custom made for Logitech. Now the PixArt sensor is fantastic. Its one-to-one tracking is fantastic. There's zero acceleration or deceleration issues. Again, you can customize that through the software if you so wish, but there's none out of the box. Make sure you disable the Windows acceleration settings, the precision clicking on Windows mouse settings, and it's just great. It works fantastically and I have absolutely no complaints. Playing Counter-Strike, I had no problems, sort of tracking wise on any sort of, well, not any surface, but most surfaces, especially using a mouse pad like this. No sort of problems. In terms of its angle snapping or whatever, I had no sorts of problems with that either. And in terms of the way it responds in terms of jittering, it is very little jitter at a high DPI. Of course, if you've got a 12,000 DPI, it depends on how steady your hand is. Mine is not very steady all the time, but anyway, I hardly noticed any jitter at that high DPI or when using paint, for example. So overall, the sensor is fantastic. Now, what I love as well, through the software, you can also adjust the lift-off distance, which is 2 millimeters or 3 millimeters. Now this customization is nice to have. It's actually quite rare to find even on high-end mices out there, and the fact that the sensor allows you to go between the two is also another testament to how good the sensor is. Now in terms of the polling rate of the mouse, it can be customized between 125, 250, 500 and 1000 Hertz polling rate, so that is all to do via the software and very easy to do as well at that. So overall, guys, I think this mouse is absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favorite mice I've actually come across. Not just because of its looks, which looks absolutely ridiculously nice, but also in terms of its performance. It performs with the very best. The buttons over here are fantastic in terms of their placement, in terms of thumb placement, it's great. Its dedicated sniper button, or whatever you want to call it, to adjust the DPI on the fly by a click of a button is, to me, absolutely sensational. And in terms of just the software, how it works and the customization that you get via it, I think it's one of the best mice I've come across. Sure, it might be pretty expensive, and sure, Creative isn't a well-known brand for the peripherals, but that's not to say that it shouldn't produce a good mouse, and well, they've done a fantastic job, let's put it that way. So there we go, guys. If you're looking for a relatively heavier mouse with a fantastic performance, amazing software, beautiful looks, and of course RGB, you gotta have more RGB in there, then this mouse is definitely for you. I would highly suggest it, I highly recommend it. Make sure you check in the links in the description below in case you're interested, and definitely check out the specs if you need more information from Creative. Alright guys, I've been Totally Dubbed. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, let me know in the comments below what you think, and there we go. Alright guys, Totally Dubbed out. Bye bye.